Okay, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Dr. Dan, and thank you to everybody here in the room in Indianapolis and to everybody on the telephone. This is the Indianapolis free lecture and group healing demonstration. So thrilled that you're here. I've had 3 treatments with Dr. Dan in the past week, and they've been so profound. And we all have our own journeys, and part of my journey was revealed to me recently when I had a lucid dream experience. And in that lucid dream experience, I'm sound asleep, but suddenly I'm wide awake. And I'm standing in the middle of my own ship. And it's kind of one of those, I see it as one of those old sailing ships that are all wood. And I'm standing right in the middle of it, and I am interviewing big, strapping sailors to help me sail my ship. And this beautiful little being tugs on my shirt tail, and I turn and I look down. I think it was maybe my inner child, and it said to me, "Why are you interviewing these big strapping men?" And I bellowed down to this beautiful little being, "Because we're getting ready to sail into uncharted territory." And I realized that I was scared of the unknown. I don't know what we're stepping into, but I know we're stepping into something that is marvelous, fabulous, beautiful, big, all the wonderful things that we seek and wish and desire on a daily basis, not just for us, but for everybody. Because that's the beauty of the plan of grand design. It's always in our best interest, but the best interest of all, too. That's why it's a win-win. So I am facing my fears. And one of the biggest is the fear of the unknown. The beauty of this is, and that the synchronicity of it is that with Dan's exponential leap in his healing gift, such that he's now working with a new language of numbers that allows him to clear mutated models of life from our being, we're able to clear those mutated models of life that create these irrational fears within us. And it's those irrational fears that keep us from stepping into our authentic expression and our full power. And so I'm so grateful, Dan, that you continue to walk this path and do what you do, because it allows us to do the same. And you set the example for all of us. Thank you.
Very welcome.
And with that, I'll turn this over to Dr. Dan. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Diane. That was very nice. And welcome, everyone. I'm very honored to be in your presence this evening and to share with you the latest stuff in Holy Divine Healing. And for all those that have never heard this before, we'll do a little bit of the old stuff too. But I've been on this path. It'll be another year, the 17th of August of this year. So I started in 94. So I think this will be the 24th year coming up. So it's been quite a while, although it's gone by so fast. And I was totally brown-headed when I started, and not so much anymore. So that's the way life goes, isn't it? And so the clock is running, and the sacred path is unfolding. And you know, I'm so blessed that I get to work on the cutting edge of higher consciousness, which is almost exactly the opposite of all the downfall world stuff you see, the chaos that's in the news and in people's lives and stuff. But it is such a wonderful thing to see a tidal wave of beings coming up the ascension ladder, and that's what I get to see. And it's all the wonderful people like y'all are that are ascending into higher consciousness every day. And the old downfall world stuff is falling away. You know, it's leaving the planet. A new holy old earth is filling the void. And in this new reality of earth, the knowing consciousness that we were created with originally in our ancient world experience will be combined with the understanding that we've acquired by going through this downfall world, which is really a school of understanding. And once you kind of understand that, it makes it a lot easier because you can see the purpose in what we've had to go through to get to where we're going. And it's all very worthwhile, and it's such a beautiful experience to know and to understand life together. It's such a quantum leap forward from our original holy order of just simply knowing. And knowing is wonderful, but it's not everything. You need understanding to go with knowing, and that's what our journey has allowed us to acquire. Even though we've gotten lots of cuts, bumps, and bruises, and traumas and stresses, all of that can be healed through higher consciousness, and that's the beauty of it. It all gets healed through higher consciousness, and you know, there's a lot of goodness in every person, and the good part of us, that's very real. That's the part of the genuine part of our being. And that part of us really doesn't need much help. It's on a good path. It's the parts of us that are problematic, that bring pain and misery into our life, that holy divine healing, this process of healing, is really about that part of us. And it's about healing our problems through expanding our consciousness and awareness. And, and you know, right up there with the very best things you can have in this life is the experience of coming to higher levels of understanding and then coming into the presence of your old recurring problems and all of a sudden seeing it differently and changing your mind and getting free. You know, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. And where we're headed, that's going to be a daily experience. And so that's a wonderful thing. That's right up there with eating the finest cuisine, and you know, and,
which we do here.
Yeah, we do that here. Yeah, 3 times a day. Yeah, and but it's such a wonderful thing to be able to come to higher levels of understanding through expanding consciousness and awareness, and see old problematic things a different way. It's always about making a bigger picture that encompasses the issues, and you can find your way home. And it's, you know, Einstein said this years ago, that you cannot heal the problems of the downfall world with the same level of consciousness that made the problem. You cannot heal problems made from mutated models of life with new mutated models. You know, you can't heal problems of belief with new belief or more beliefs, because it's of the same level of consciousness. You have to go into knowing, and that's a beautiful thing. Well, how do you get knowing? And the path that I use for that very thing is the parable of Christ consciousness, through trusting in your inner holiness and having the courage to take your next step in trusting of your inner holiness allows knowing consciousness to come into your life. And that's how you prime the pump to acquire more knowing or new knowing, is through trusting in your inner holiness that beats your heart. And so if your heart beats, it's in there. And having a relationship with your inner holiness is one of the greatest things in life. And it's through the parable of being a Christed being. And the tools are all passive: acceptance, forgiveness, surrender, yield, trust, and ask for guidance is the tools of those on the path of ascension. So it's not a hard thing to do. It's really about trying easy and using those gifts, you know, of the passive. And you know, it's amazing, the power of forgiveness. You know, it's actually more about upgrading what's to come into your life than it is about getting over something from the past. You know, forgiveness upgrades the future of what's to come. And that's always important to remember that, because it gives you a good reason to do it, you know. And so forgiveness is really about upgrading what's to come into your life. And so it's a beautiful tool. And, And then, when we have issues and problems in our life, we have to understand that we play a part in that, or it wouldn't be our problem. And accepting is such a big thing. You have to be able to accept. You have to own things before you can change things. And so the acceptance of your problem, meaning don't blame it on other people or things outside of you, because that's an illusion. They may play a part in it too, but it wouldn't be your problem if you didn't have a part to play in it. And what I'm finding, amazingly, is that nearly all of our problems are the conflicts of the various systems, bodies, levels of beings, and consciousness of our being that have been infested with models of life that mutate our life beam. Our life beam is the Akashic beam. It comes from the heart of the Holy O, and it goes through the 9 clusters of the Holy O like a thread through a sewing machine. And for all beings of the Holy O, the Akashic beam will manifest things that glorify the Holy Order of O and benefit everybody and make loving feelings into life, and that's such a wonderful thing. Well, very fortunately, within the crystal lattice of our spirit body is the recordings of life that go back to beyond the dawn of creation. And these recordings, they allow us to understand what's come before us and how to navigate and go forth into the future. But you have to have this system of practicing the parable down. It has to become your MO, the way you handle things, is you have to do it through the parable. And I think it's probably half as hard as learning to ride a bicycle. If you learn to ride a bicycle, you can learn to be a practitioner of this parable of Christ consciousness. And you get to do it your way. There's an infinite number of ways of doing it, but it all starts with connecting with your inner holiness and seeking that. You have to seek your inner holiness, and if you seek it, you will find it. And it's, I've heard it said before that when God gave man divinity, he put it in the last place they would think to look, and that's underneath the rock you're standing on. And so it's within you. So it's no reason to search the outer world for it. Take a shortcut, it's within. So, it's a very beautiful thing. When I first got into this, the world was way different than it is today. The infrastructure of the world has changed tremendously. I go back to 87, when the harmonic convergence happened. That was a very big thing. That had to happen before this ascension process could unfold. But there's been so many pieces of the puzzle that have come together and have actually changed the culture of what this earth will now nurture and support. Used to be, back in the old Piscean age, the earth had a linear timeline and a third-dimensional grid system. Having belief consciousness, being dominated and controlled by authority outside of you, is actually what the earth nurtured and supported, So it was a very different time. And now that the Aquarian age is here, the old linear timeline has been replaced by an exponential time-space coordinate system. And instead of a third-dimensional grid, we have a 999 to the power of 7-dimensional grid. And the earth now nurtures and supports all people that will open their mind and their heart, seek the holy order, and live the parable of being a Christed being. If you will do that, amazing things will happen, and you will overcome the problems in your life. And so that's it's just tremendous that this world has changed like it has, and the bottom of the paradigm ladder has started a purge off of the planet. It started on the full moon eclipse of 2015. If you remember that, it was kind of a big deal at the time it happened. That very moment, it was a 45-minute time in Little Rock that the eclipse it took to complete it, and during that time frame, a switch was flipped on the dark side of the moon that started this exiting of the downfall world. And these bottom three paradigms of life that have plagued humanity, well, it is the home of humanity, is now exiting the planet, and it's doing it because it wants to do it. We're not beating it up. We don't have a new weapon to fight it off. But it's not about that at all. It's a sweet surrender, and it all wants to go home. And in a bigger picture of life, it was all brought in here to be our school of understanding. We had made a demonstration that we needed to acquire understanding to go with our knowing. We had broke a ray that connected our spirit body to our root chakra, and that allowed a bunch of models from outside of the 9 clusters to come into the earth. And these models of life are not only of consciousness, but of lots of things. And they have infested us kind of like a virus, you might say, but they tremendously influence your physical, emotional, mental body. They get into your unconscious, subconscious, conscious, mass conscious, Christ conscious, cosmic conscious, goddess conscious. All of this was severely impacted by these models of life that when they tried to run our being through them, it mutated and it became our problem. That's where all the problems came from. And so now, in our sessions, we do these clearings of taking all of that off, and it's very easy to remove because it all wants to go home. It has its home where what it's about is in a holy order, but it's just not in these 9 clusters. That's where we're at. And so there's nothing bad or monstrous about it. It's just what happens when a being of another model tries to run the holy old Akashic being through it. It mutates. And it took till 2003 to get the big mutation to calm down. But that was done to set up this school of understanding that is almost out. I mean, this August we'll be halfway there. It'll be 3 more years left. And if your consciousness is down in the bottom paradigms, 3 years seems like an eternity. But if you're up here doing your work and connecting with your inner holiness, living the parable, you're seeing a lot of this change that I'm describing happen, and it's a glorious thing, and time really goes fast. When you're having fun, time goes fast. When you're in misery, it goes slow. And so, there are forces on this earth that don't want this to change, and because stuff like our economy is based on us being a consumer. And so they want us to have lots of consumer needs, lots of problems and whatnot. If you got it together with you and your inner holiness, you require very little because you're already happy. You don't have to try to buy happiness or fix a problem. And so you don't stimulate the economy like that. And we are in a government that's really a corporate government that is all about the corporations. I'm sure everybody in here realizes that. And so they want to hold people's vision down in the bottom paradigm. So that's what you get when you turn on the TV. And so to live this good life up in the Ascension realms, you have to disconnect from all of that. And you'll hear what's going on just by what people are talking about. And so you really won't miss anything, but you're just not putting your attention there. And that makes a good difference. And it makes you much happier and much more agreeable and in harmony with this divine process. There's millions of people doing this. I mean, it is actually a tidal wave of light workers that are coming forth up the paradigm ladder like has never happened before. It's just totally amazing. And the young people are so awesome, the kids born after 99 no longer have negative implants put into them. And I think that that which wants to control and dominate doesn't know what to do with them, because they're just pretty darn radicals out there, Mustangs, and they go their own way, which is really beautiful to see. You're welcome to, if you got a question, just raise your hand. I will elaborate on anything I'm talking about, or otherwise I'm just going to kind of ramble up here.
Well, and for those who are new here, when Dr. Dan refers to Christ consciousness, it's not a religious model. It's a label for a level of conscious awareness, which is kind of a reflection of evolutionary stature, if you will. And paradigms also reflect that, lower paradigms and higher paradigms. And you've identified certain unifying characteristics of the lower paradigms, and those are death, killing, and war.
That's the first one. And the second one is, robbing, stealing, cheating, politics, and lying. The third one is gossip, criticism, self-pity, being judgmental, self-righteous, and labeling others. Those are the three paradigms that are purging off the planet. The fourth and the fifth, they've only been here since 2003 and 4, but they're being sacrificed as a buffer zone between the downfall world and the new holy old earth, which starts at the sixth paradigm. The sixth paradigm is pretty darn good. And it's amazing. There's so many good-hearted people on this planet, and they're in all sorts of organizations, religions, and they help others. And for those that have a genuine calling to help others, that puts you in the eighth paradigm to do that. So that gets you into the holy old earth. And so that's really a wonderful, wonderful thing that we can do. But to have compassion and empathy for those less fortunate really brings people into higher consciousness. So that's a wonderful thing.
And so then the paradigms are an ascending, it's a way of categorizing or viewing, if you will, the ascending evolutionary spiral that we're undergoing. Each paradigm is representative of something greater and more positive and more powerful and more true to our holy being state.
For sure. Yeah, that's well said. Would you mind going out on this patio and pulling this curtain too? That sun's about to blind me.
You have got a beautiful glow that I can see all on the edge of your eye, and I wanted to take a picture, but I don't think I can do both.
Yeah, it's interesting being this far north from where I'm usually at. Just a little bit more, ain't quite making it. But, back in Arkansas, it gets light earlier in the morning. It's like 6 o'clock, the sun's coming up. I noticed this morning here it was 7 o'clock. But it doesn't get dark here till 8:30 at night. It's getting dark at 7:30 in Arkansas. So kind of interesting.
So the Holy Earth is not a separate, distinct entity. It's more blending in terms of consciousness and ways of living and living things.
Yeah. It's really all about, consciousness is the main component of it. Of course, the higher consciousness, the more delightful the activity is that occurs there. Yeah. And, but the holy old earth is our genuine home. That's where we came from. And, it was transformed, in the 9 clusters, that's our real home. There are over 62 million omniverses. And it was in the omniverse that we're in here that a tenth of it broke off and became the universe. And the downfall world was contained in the universe. And that's why in the human experience, everything is like a tenth. We've all heard that humans use 1/10 of their brain. The biggest part of our brain is dormant. And in our holy order, we have 9 pulses. In the human experience, you have 1. And in our holy order, our crystal lattice is whole and complete. And the downfall world has been broken into parts and pieces to create belief generators. And then our soul body, in our holy order, we have all the components of divinity that humans perceive as beings in their outer world, from God, archangels, ascended masters, earth goddesses, and the like. They perceive all of that stuff as being outside of them, totally distinctly different from them, and they give them names of persona, of a person. These are actually the components of divinity that were the gifts of creation from the galaxies of this cosmos to be inside our soul vessel and to give our soul body a knowing consciousness. And so it's really interesting to contrast what is in the human experience and what was in our holy order. You know, all the parts and pieces have a beautiful story to tell, and but it's all different than what our fractured soul vessel, which is what self is, and to be human is to be of self, and self has a perception of reality that is pretty much illusionary, and that's the big illusion, is that the components of divinity actually belong inside of us, not outside of us. So that's all a very interesting thing. So as the universe comes back into the omniverse, the crystal lattice of our spirit body becomes whole and healed, our soul vessel becomes whole again, and our components of divinity are within it. All three levels of our knowing consciousness return into our holy oath. And that's what we're working on every day. You know, we're getting closer and closer to all of that happening. Any questions or comments to that? Thank you.
Joy of dealing with your problem. I probably got it. That's right. That's on.
So the question is about, please discuss Christ consciousness.
In relation to problems.
In relation to problems.
About how it can be delightful or
Yeah.
to see them in that new light.
Right. Well, starting at problems, it all starts with that problem, I suppose. That when you have a problem, in order to heal it, you have to accept it as your own. In other words, you have to accept that you play a part in the problem, or it wouldn't be your problem. You know, there's something about you that makes this problem your problem. And see, when problems come into your life, the greatest of all human compulsions is to try to fix it yourself and do it yourself. Well, the problem with that is that self is your fractured soul vessel that's controlled and dominated by your negative ego body, and its purpose is to defend yourself, and its method of doing it is to seize control of your consciousness through the programming known as belief, which is a programming from authority outside of you. And then your negative ego will defend and justify the belief system it's imposed on self by doling out fear, pain, and punishment to self. And you're going to have a miserable life. So anytime you're doing anxiety, worry, or anger, depression, or feel like you're being punished, you're there. You're in your human condition. Well, there's another fork in the road, and this fork of the road is the parable of Christ consciousness. And it's about turning your problems and issues over to the most capable part of your being, and that's your inner holiness to be dealt with. So you accept your problem as your own. You forgive yourself for the times you've taken the wrong fork of the road, and then you surrender all of your problems, worries, and concerns to your higher power, your inner holiness to be dealt with. And as you do that, the only price you have to pay for that to be free is that you have to yield to the will of your inner holiness. And that's going to be a whispering voice, a gut knowing that you get as you go through your day. You have to do what it tells you. And then the next step is simply show up in your day without any regard or having to understand what's around the corner, and take your next step in trusting your inner holiness and ask for guidance. And when you do those steps, this door to miracles is going to open into your life. And the most amazing things are going to happen that yourself would have never thought of in a million years.
Because your inner holiness is connected to all of the Holy O, all that is. It's omnipotent, all-knowing, all-powerful, and it's available to you 24/7 if you just learn to surrender to it.
If your heart beats, it's in there. You know, that's how you tell. Is my inner holiness at home? Yes.
It's not an outer God.
It's not an outer God. It's within you. You know, the outer God thing is a condition of self. It's one of its illusions. So,
Well, and that's what is disempowering, because you're giving your power away to something outside of yourself over which you have no control. And this is how the masses remain in disempowered state. So as we reclaim, we heal and we whole ourselves, and we create that relationship with our inner holiness, we reclaim our power and we begin to live as sovereign beings, which is what allows us to live in peace and love and joy.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. So did I answer your questions, John?
Yeah.
Is that?
Your car, which has that parable on it. I think
Yeah.
it's behind you.
Yeah. I have some up here
I've never
too.
seen this parable on this car.
Yeah.
It's kind of a...
Yeah.
He said he's an expert at the old parable.
Yeah, I think we're all experts for that. Yeah.
Well, and that's part of my fear of the unknown, because I want to control everything, and I want to have a plan, and I want to know what it is before I take my step and my action, because then I feel safe. And the fact of the matter is, I'm the least safe when I do that, because I'm disconnected from my inner holiness. And I limit the outcome to a third dimensional or lower result, because I'm not accessing the broader spectrum of intelligence and life available through my own inner holiness.
Yeah, you have to take that step in trust. That's really a lot of what makes it work. And that's a hard thing to do. People want a foot on both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
You can't do it like that. It takes a lot of courage to do Ascension. You know, it's not a simple thing, but the only other choice you have is to be miserable where you're at. You know, so that's kind of a fire that is built under you to get you going. You know, and you know, that's the purpose of pain and misery, is for you to reevaluate what you're doing, because something's not working right. And so if we just heed that and look within, it's just amazing how all of this stuff can be overcome. And there's 1,000 different ways of doing this. I just have this way, and but there's a lot of leeway for individualism. Our sacred gifts are all snowflakes. There's no two that are alike, and so life loves a bouquet. We all get to be what we are in our holy order, and it tremendously makes a very powerful interwoven aspect of life through all the different efforts and the beauty of each individual and what they bring to the ascension process. So there is no just this one way to do things. There's a lot of ways of doing it.
Well, probably about 7.5 billion.
Yeah, that's probably right. So it's an amazing time to be alive. Okay, any questions or comments?
Can you do that little quick review about the whole spirit? I just love hearing that. I love that movie.
Oh, let me see if I can remember what you're talking about.
And let me preface that before you say it. For those who are new here, Dr. Dan has a very unique, well, he has many unique gifts. One of them is the ability to see with his own inner vision and holiness the organization of life at its basic level, elemental level, which is its sacred geometric configuration. So what he is going to share with you is what he sees as the process of creation. Is that what this is talking about?
I'm trying to. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got you. I got it now. Yeah. You're talking about the trinity of our wholeness. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, it really goes back to our moment of conception as a good way to put it all together. You know, at the moment of conception, you know, basically 9 months before your date of birth, 3 things happen simultaneously. All of a sudden, you were one cell of flesh, and that one cell was pulsating, and there was a full-grown, complete adult-sized energy field around that one cell that the one cell grows into as you become an adult. And there's a form of photography that photographs this energy field, that they've cataloged every expression of life. And you can take an acorn and take a picture of it, and there's an energy field of a full-grown oak tree around it. And so it's really fascinating. Well, these 3 things, the cell, the pulse, and the energy field, they identify what they are. The cell is your soul body, the pulse is your divine presence body, and the energy field is your spirit body. And you see, at your conception, only one of those 3 things was new at your conception, and that was your cell body, the soul, was new at your conception. Your energy field and your pulse are ancient, and they have records. And I get to read the records of the crystal lattice of your spirit body. There's other people that read the Akashic records. That's the recordings of the pulse. And so we do have records, and the records that I read say that we live 700 million years on this earth as a holy being with a knowing consciousness in a life continuum, you know, and
of perfection.
Yeah, of this knowing consciousness. And somewhere along the way, we started getting bored with our 13-dimensional matrix of heaven on earth, and we wanted a expansion of our matrix, not understanding that you can't expand existing matrices because you have to have the total concept of a matrix in mind when you lay the first stone. So once they're made, they cannot be expanded, but you can disassemble them and make new ones. We didn't understand that either. And we wanted this expansion so bad that we broke our brown ray, and the brown ray is what anchors our spirit body to our root chakra. And this is what allowed all of these models of life that don't work here to come in. But it also created a necessity that we acquire understanding to go with our knowing. And so the plan of grand design of the 9 clusters brought in here a planet from a system of 1 outside of the 9 clusters. It had 87 life forms on it, and their purpose was to run this school of understanding, and they did tremendous amount of manipulating to us to ensure you didn't play hooky. You know, you had to go to school. And made us human, you might say. And so we've had all, and see the purpose, when you go to the school of understanding, you have to check your knowing in at the door and consent to have the components of your soul, spirit, and presence disassembled into their parts and pieces. And from that perspective, you get to find your way back home. And every bit of the journey is actually was always recorded in our crystal lattice. It was done before we set out on the journey. And so we have a safety net that nobody really realizes. It just looks hopeless when you're in that position of being dropped off and disconnectville. You know, everything was disconnected. And the purpose is for you to have this journey of taking lessons. You learn the lesson, you acquire understanding from that lesson, and then you go to the next one. And we've been doing that since the dawn of time. Well, now that school is over or coming to a close, our purpose now is to flush the downfall world down the moon portal and retain the understanding acquired by having the experiences and reassemble our being back into our holy order. The new holy old earth that's filling the void of the exiting downfall world is a new reality of life where the knowing of our inner holiness that we originally had will be combined with the understanding we've acquired by going to the school of understanding. And to be a holy being that knows and understands all of life is an evolutionary jump over simply a holy being of knowing consciousness. Knowing is not everything. You need understanding to go with it. And through having life experiences.
So what happened was, as holy beings, we devolved into human beings in order to have a life experience in this reality, which is one of separation, duality, and polarity. So when we have those experiences that we have in this life on this planet right now, of pain, suffering, misery, sorrow, fear, all these negative experiences are here and are happening to teach us something. And if we can recognize that and open ourselves to the lessons to be learned, then we can move on and we don't have to repeat that experience.
Wonderful. That's very, very true. Very true.
So if you could send what you would the energy field around the pulse, which would be the pulse, which would be the cosmic record, but the energy field around is what you primarily focus.
Yeah.
And one of the mechanisms is
I do dowsing with the feet because I was a chiropractor before I was chosen to do this, what I'm doing now. And I was very skilled at analyzing leg length to communicate with the innate intelligence of a person. You know, that's a beautiful thing. You know, in the natural world, Ascension is of the natural world. Our being is of the natural world. And the really cool thing about the natural world is that the intelligence that makes it all happen comes included. It's never about you having to orchestrate or duplicate that information. It's kind of like growing a vegetable garden. You don't have to know what the seed knows to do that. If you know when to plant, how to plant, and how to take care of plants, you can have a bountiful harvest. And all things of the natural world are a semblance of that. It's just knowing your part to play. That's what makes it work. And it's the parable of being a Christed being. You know, that's actually our fifth level of consciousness. We're actually created to have 7 levels of consciousness. The first 4 will function not perfectly, but a little bit with belief. But the top 3 require knowing to function. And the way you get knowing going into the 5th level of consciousness is by becoming a practitioner of this parable. You know, and it's just it's a way of life that you learn to handle your issues. You know, how do you handle things? Well, I accept them. I forgive myself for the times I didn't handle it too well. And now I surrender all of it to my higher power, my inner holiness to be dealt with. And I yield to its will in my life. I'm going to show up today and take my step in trusting the holy order. And I'm going to ask for guidance along the way. So if you can do those things like that, you'll hit a home run with this. You know, it's designed, the whole world is going to nurture and support you in your efforts to be a Christed being. And that's a beautiful thing.
In my treatment this time, I've had a few use some new terms. Can you do something new going now, or going up, or out, or whatever?
Yeah. I've been blessed with a a language of the divine that allows me to participate as a identifier, and that is through number sequences. One of the fundamental questions that People's Inner Holiness wants me to ask first, right off the bat, is how many primary fundamental issues of this person are available to be healed today. And the answers I get are anywhere from 8,000 to 8 billion. It could be a lot. And then I'll just say how many bars need to be cleared to encompass all of that, and it's never been over 5. So you clear 5 different things, they're totally different things, and the next thing you know, all of those issues are gone. So you don't have to do every one of them because, it'd take a long time. Got 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And another thing I want you to realize is when we have a session, there's basically 3 things that happen. The first thing is what we do, clearings. We take off problematic things, and it's going to be a bunch of these mutated models on various things, like a real popular one is a person's unconscious will be creating issues in their physical, emotional, or mental body. I've never had all 3, but it'll be one of those 3 things. And, you look at the unconscious, well, it's only in dominance in this life if you're like in a coma, through a brain injury or something. But what the unconscious is, it's the gateway to all of your past lives, your masculine ancestral lineage pattern, your feminine offspring's matrix, and anywhere from 8,000 to 85 other things will be coming out of your unconscious, polluting your physical, emotional, mental being with a bunch of garbage that is like dead wood. Dead wood is things that you didn't actually do, but you're being held liable for it because it's coming through your lineage patterns or your past lives. And boy, all of that stuff was done in a lot lesser consciousness than what we know now. There's never been a life this good since before the downfall. This is an awesome life.
So on this continuum of life, Dr. Dan, all these past lives are actively influencing our current life too.
Better believe it. Yes, that's
so
exactly
when you
right.
do the healing work with us, we do it with you. We're not only healing our present self-life experience, but our past and also into our future, because from the broadest perspective, it's all me.
Yes. Yeah. And the greatest way to ensure a good future is to do forgiveness. That really quantum leaps your future into a good place.
And why does it do that?
Well, it's really interesting. It changes the anchor points of what's holding you back. Holding grudges, vengefulness, and bad feelings about what somebody else or did to you pollutes your future.
You know what? I get that. We live in a reflective reality, and our thoughts and feelings are what determine the reality that we experience. And because we're infected with these mutated models, they create negative feelings, which then create negative life experiences. And forgiveness absolves, dissipates those negative feelings.
It does. It does. It's like hydrogen peroxide on a festered sore.
Huh.
The Aramaic definition of forgiveness is untying the knots around your heart. So it's more of a verb.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, and those knots come from your past experiences. So, it's like, wow, man, you're upgrading your future. I can't forgive enough now. It's like, let's forgive some more. Yes.
How do you forgive is the question.
Well, in situations and events of life, probably forgiving yourself is the toughest one. People are real hard on themselves, and because their self is a fractured soul vessel that's controlled by the part of them that makes lots of pain and misery. And you know, the thing about pain is that anger and pain come from the same part of your brain. You know, that's why if you hit your thumb with a hammer or stump your toe, it's going to upset you, you know. And so it's all tied into our neurology. And having this conscious desire to upgrade where you're going, you know, that's the motivation behind my forgiveness, is to create a better tomorrow. You know, all the things that happened in the past, you know, they wasn't all right, they wasn't all wrong, they're just all gone, you know, and there's really nothing you can do about that except hold bad feelings about it. And that doesn't pay any commission. It wrecks your life, you know. Your body follows your mind. And
it's like a cancer.
Yeah, it really is. It's very much a malignancy. And so if you want to be happy and joyous today and tomorrow, it's required. You have to learn to forgive, you know, and learning to forgive because of the payoff of what's to come is a good motivation for forgiving. And so that's what I choose to do, is to forgive the past to upgrade the future.
I love that. And Annette, that you ask a great question, and sometimes I find myself, I want to forgive, I recognize I need to, and I don't know how to. And so in those moments, when my presence is focused enough, I remember that all I need to do is surrender to my divinity within. So I will surrender to my divinity within, and I will ask it to please show me how I can forgive this person, this thing, this experience, whatever it is that is negatively impacting my life.
Sometimes you can think of it as giving forth. What is it that I most desire? Can I give that forth? That person. But isn't it all about us? Right. I mean, it's like, well, I want to forgive you so I can feel better, or to dismiss you. But it depends on how you do it. If you're doing it because you're taking care of your own spiritual well-being and ascension.
Why would you want to carry the pain?
Yeah, but I mean, you know, why are you directing it outside of you? That seems like you need to direct it inside of you to forgive yourself for.
Well, that's probably the biggest one is yourself. But there's also situation events, other personalities that people have, you know, bad experiences with, and they'll hold the bad feeling about it. And so this is a wonderful way to do it. Diane said it well.
So really, any negative feeling is a very clear, indisputable message to us that something is amiss, out of alignment with the holiness of life.
Yeah. Yeah. At any time, you know, I've done group things with people, and you know, people think, well, you know, this person did this act, and I'm upset about it. Well, always it's the person with the negative feeling that's got the problem. I've never seen it not be that way. You know, when I start shaking feet, if you got negative feelings about an event, you got issues with that, you know, and that's where those negative feelings are coming from. And you just have to have that deeper understanding of what forgiveness can do for that. You know? And once I found out that forgiveness was about upgrading the future, it became it really discounted the cost of forgiving. It made it like, wow, man, this is free now. It doesn't cost a lot of money to forgive.
I get that.
Yeah. Wow.
And that happens as true understand that everything that appears to my highest good and the energy around that can be calm.
Yeah.
And then forgiveness is really not a thing, but simply a byproduct, and it is to transmute something that never was into a true nothingness.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Yeah. Very good.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, that's a wonderful thing, you know. So forgiveness is a great tool. Yes. Yeah.
Question about the moon portal.
Okay.
The moon portal would be a good place for us to visualize that we see.
Yes, everybody has access to the moon portal, and actually it's a function of your migliomeglius portal. You know, there's, one day it just told me you need to start using the moon portal now. It's a part of the migliomeglius. It became bigger, and it became a bigger thing. And the thing I like about the moon portal is that you can put anything of yours or someone else's in it. Whereas with the migliomeglius portal, you just wanted to put your stuff in your portal and put other people's stuff in their portal. And don't put their stuff in your migliomeglius portal. That wasn't a good thing to do. But with just using the moon portal, it takes that out of it. It very much is, yeah. And the moon portal is wide open on a new moon, and it's closed on a full moon. And that's why the emotional instability of the new moon was because the moon portal was closed. Yeah. When the moon is new, the portal is wide open. When it's full, it's blocked.
Oh, I thought you just said the other way around. When the moon is full, it's wide open.
No, the portal's blocked. Yeah. Yeah, think of lunatic. That happens on a full moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the portal's blocked.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
many of you probably heard on a full moon. Anybody that looks at an emergency room will tell tales.
Yeah.
A full moon.
Look out.
They get bigger stuff in an ER.
Right, and then the mental wards, they get packed.
Does that also, though, have to do with the water in it? Does that security of it hold our ships in our water? Does that have something to do with it?
Well, sure it does, because the moon, really affects the tide. And but I haven't ever been led to investigate that. So, yeah, but I'm sure that that's related.
And so, again, for those who are new, we're all connected with each other, with the earth, and also with all of our celestial bodies.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Your divine presence is on universal law. Your Holy Spirit is on cosmic law, and your soul body is on galactic law. And this is the order of the 9 clusters. It's made up of those celestial units, and we are a direct reflection of that. I mean, we're, in our holy order, we're a complete composite of the 9 clusters, and everything is connected the way it's supposed to, and works the way it's supposed to. And the human realm, it's all been cut way back and disconnected.
Right, but in the holy order, there is an order and a purpose to all that we experience, and it's all connected.
Yeah.
So even the planets, which we see as something far away and not a part of us, we're really connected with them too, and they serve a role in our life experience.
There's some things about the sun and earth and their relationships that I haven't been able to get my mind around. It tells me these things, and I go, huh? But what it says is that the sun is actually inside the earth, and what we see in the sky is its reflection off of the veil, and all of the stars you see in the night sky are within the earth. They also are reflecting off of the veil. And that there's 8 civilizations of people that live in and on the earth, and all of them think they're on the surface because they all have mountains, skies, oceans,
sun and moon, all of that stuff. And when I ask about us, it says that we're third from the top. We're third from the surface, and we all think we're on the surface. So it's going to take a fully functioning 9 knowing centers of the brain to get your mind around that and for that to seem logical.
coming out of the human realm of belief, that's a real mind stretcher. You know, it's hard to grasp all of that.
Is that kind of like 8 dimensions all overlapping each other at the same time?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
So when the other one's there, they're all living a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. The civilizations don't interact. They're all happening simultaneously. So, and the Earth is a whole lot bigger than science thinks it is. So it's we got a lot to learn about all of that as we continue our journey into Ascension. But hey, at least we've got the fundamentals of it in a thought form, and so we'll see how that all unfolds.
Can you define Ascension?
Well, your new term is Ascension. That would make those high.
Yeah. Ascending is the journey of going into higher levels of consciousness, which are paradigms. And paradigms are realities of consciousness that are made by an assortment of dimensions. And dimensions and paradigms are not the same. The way I distinguish between the two is by thinking of a paradigm of reality of consciousness as being, say, like a cake, and the dimensions are the ingredients that make up the cake. And so when I say like the 15th paradigm, that means a reality of consciousness created by 15 dimensions. But paradigm is reality of consciousness.
Yeah, and so each dimension represents another additional layer of intelligence.
Yes.
And so when you start moving up the paradigm ladder, your consciousness continues to expand. Each paradigm you enter, that's bigger than the one before it, and you gain access to a greater field of intelligence from which to draw your thoughts, your feelings, the decisions and choices that you make in your life. Imagine when we evolve to the highest paradigm that we're aware of at this point in time, which is the 999th to the power of 7. There will be 999 to the power of 7 paradigms informing our conscious awareness in every moment. You talk about superintelligence.
Yeah, to have that many dimensions of reality creating a reality of consciousness is quite... that's mind-blowing.
Right, and that's how we solve the problems of this world. I've said this before. Because we will have access to intelligence that we currently can't access, but that is far greater than what is needed in order to solve the problems that we've created at this level of life experience. So we do this for everyone, not just ourselves.
Are those the moments when are those the moments when you are literally experiencing that different life that you've been deciding? Is that when you are living in it, or is that different as well?
Well, to me, I can't remember dreams very long. I never forget the visions I have in my dream time that are of this expansion of ascension. You know, I remember those forever. So they both occur in my dream time, but my visions are real, and my dreams are usually the downloading of my subconscious. You know, that's what dreams primarily do. But visions that you can have in your dream time that you don't ever forget, those are real.
Yeah, so in that state, we're in an expanded state of awareness, and it's not the conscious awareness that we're used to in this third-dimensional reality. But it allows us to access other realities of life experience within ourselves that bring us healing and illumination and direction for what's next in our life.
That's right.
What I noticed is out-of-body experiences and with that you're in the now, you don't have to I've never had an experience where, I mean, this to me is such a challenging thing. Something to worry about our ordinary out-of-body experiences is falling.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I hope you could hear that on the teleconference. What Lisa made was a beautiful point about in our dream experiences, in those expanded states of awareness. She said, I've never experienced, past or future worry or fear because we're always in the present. That is so true. And that's how we'll be living our life when we have fully evolved back into the fully being state as well.
Yeah. Yeah, hallelujah to that. Right now.
Hallelujah.
Ascension keys are, they usually contain a feeling, a dimension, a light ray, and a celestial body. And what these ascension keys are for, you see, when you do a clearing, you create a void, and you need to put something in that void, or life will usually fill it up with some more junk for you to clean up. But
We don't need that.
so that what the ascension key, it does two things. It ensures the healing of that which has been cleared, and it also interfaces the blessing of higher consciousness to fill the void completely and perfectly and to bring holy, pure perfection into place of all that stuff you just cleared that was causing problems. And so that's the purpose of it. It heals what's been cleared, and it interfaces the blessing of higher consciousness.
And it does the 5 things. These are new.
Yeah, they're new since I was here last. Yeah, and there'll usually be a feeling, a dimension, a light ray, and a celestial body. Yeah. Yeah, and I have 15 of them now. I've got them 5 at a time, and it's weird that when I get a new 5, I never use the ones that I had before again. I haven't used the first 10 since I've gotten this last set of 5, 10 through 15, or 11 through 15. Yeah, and when I wear these out, I'll get new ones.
I like the 5 things.
Put them off in a group healing, you hardly ever use them again. Yeah.
Well, our evolution is occurring at such a quantum rate that we have to, the tools have to be discarded in favor of new ones that can help us process and manage vaster amounts of information.
That's right. Yeah. So everything is upgraded.
And it's going to continue to be. This is a continuous process. If you haven't figured that out by now, it is just going to continue to be this way. We're going to contract, and then we're going to expand. We're going to create new tools, and then we're going to outgrow them very rapidly. So we will be given new ones, and they will be even more sophisticated and more sophisticated and more sophisticated. So all this Star Wars stuff and all this, John and I just recently saw the Black Panther, all of the space stuff, those are not far-fetched dreams. Those are all within the realm of very real possibility and probably in the not-too-distant future. What it may look like is up to us to determine. I do know this, though, because it will be an order of the Holy O, that what it is used for is only for the greatest good and peace, love, and joy, not for instruments of war.
Yeah, nothing subversive about it. Yeah, that's right. All right. We ready for a demonstration, or we got some more to talk about?
I'm ready.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see. We're going to have to clean this off before I can move it.
Okay.
So, we'll get you up there. We'll have to, eventually we'll put this somewhere else. Okay. Now we're going to do a demonstration, and we're going to get Diane up here on the table, and, everybody in the room will benefit from this demonstration, and there will be this one person up here on the table.
Oh, can you read it on the Google?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to put some other shit?
You're good. Yeah. Okay, it looks like John will be up here on the table. So, come right up, John. Okay, Diane, we're going to have to figure out a new spot for this. I'm gonna have to write right here. Oh. Yeah, come down this way until your knees buckle. Come this way until your shoes kind of hang off a little bit. There you go.
He's going to read your leg length, and the flat bottoms on your shoes help you read them accurate. It's a form of kinesiology. Your body responds physiologically based on its own inner guidance of a higher nature to certain commands and questions. And this is how he communicates with your inner holiness.
Yeah, I had a guy ask me not long ago, he goes, why do you talk to my feet? Most people talk to my head. And I said, well, your feet don't lie and they don't believe.
So, John, it's a way of bypassing our mortal mind.
I had glasses at one time.
Oh, here they are. And communicating directly with the divinity within you, which is going to answer Dan's questions by making one leg go longer or one leg go shorter for yes or no.
Yeah, just release the parking brakes. Let your feet go, John.
Oh, relax. You may be walking on water then.
Okay, this this clearing and blessing of higher consciousness for John is orchestrated by the living holiness that beats his heart. Dan is a servant with Christ in conscience. Omega, O Alpha, O Iota, O Alpha, O Iota, Omega, O Iota, Omega, O Alpha. Okay, holiness, John. Know everything about John from A to Z. You understand everything going on in his life, and you know exactly what we need to do here. And the answer is yes to all three. Okay. Where do we begin? Ask the question. Yes. Okay. How many fundamental primary issues of John are up to be healed now? 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000 million, 2 million, 100 million, billion, 8 billion plus, to be brought into the holy order, though. In order to encompass these 8 billion plus primary fundamental issues of John, how many bars to be cleared? 4 bars. Okay. Okay, our first bar is coming out of John's unconscious and creating issues for his physical being. His spleen and kidneys are affected adversely by this, as are 17 other aspects of his physical body. And how many models of mutation exist in John's unconscious to be cleared? 10, 9, 8 models. Okay? The first model. How many digits? 5, 4, 9876, 987, 67, 9876, 98765, 67, 65. The next model, how many digits? 5, 4, 3. 9876, 98765, 98765, 653. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 8. 5, 4, 3, 2, 987, 9876, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 987, 3, 2, 1, 98765, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 98765, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9876, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, you're creating a sacred geometric equation with those numbers, aren't you?
I sure am.
Well, and that's creating a matrix, an energetic template that is directing the energy pursuant to your command.
Uh-huh.
And your command is based upon the commands of John's inner holiness.
That's right.
So divinity is directing this process as we speak.
Every bit of the way.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, we want to remove the models of 6765, 653, 876, 752, and 1. Pull all of this out of John's unconscious and all negative effects out of his physical body and make it true, removing all contractions, issues, collateral issues, all debris of the downfall world of John's school of understanding, and all manifestations of all creations of the model of 6765, 653, 876, 752, and 1. Pull all of this out of John's unconscious and all of its negative effects out of his physical body and make it true. And then bring all aspects of John's unconscious and all relationships to his physical being back into his holy order of O through holy O pure perfection 3 times and make it true. How many platforms to be cleared? 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million, 100 million, billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, trillion, 10 trillion, 100 trillion, bazillion, 10 bazillion, 100 bazillion, quadrillion, 10 quadrillion, 100 quadrillion, quadrillion and 2, 6 quadrillion and 6 platforms. Deposit all of this into the Holy O Moon portal for disposal, clearing, and cleansing. To Holy O pure perfection. To Holy O pure perfection. To Holy O pure perfection. It is done. Okay. That one's gone. Oh,
He started to get up.
yeah, you'll be here for about 30 minutes. Okay, the next bar, what's this about? Okay, physical, emotional. This is a mental body, unconscious, subconscious. This is about the interference from your mental body into your subconscious, which is what controls, coordinate, functions, heals, and 9 other activities of your being that happen in your subconscious. Okay, how many models of mutation in John's mental body are inflicting issues into the subconscious? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay, the first digit, how many? Or the first model, how many digits? 5, 4, 3, 9, 8, 7, 7, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 7, 7, 5, 7, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 9, 8, 9, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Okay. Is that right? Yep. Okay, we want to remove the models of 775, 88, and 5 from John's mental body and all of the issues created in his subconscious and make it true. Remove all contractions, issues, collateral issues, all debris of the downfall world of John's school of understanding, and all manifestations of all creations of the models of 775, 88, and 5 Pull all of this out of John's mental body and all negative effects out of his subconscious and make it true. And then bring forth all aspects of John's mental body and all relationships to his subconscious back into his holy order of O through Holio pure perfection 3 times and make it true. How many platforms to be cleared? 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million, 100 million, billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, trillion, 10 trillion, 100 trillion, bazillion, 10 bazillion, 100 bazillion, quadrillion, 10 quadrillion, 100 quadrillion, quadrillion in 2, 6 quadrillion in 8 platforms. Deposit all of it into the Holy O Moon portal for disposal, clearing, and cleansing. The Holy O pure perfection, the Holy O pure perfection, the Holy O pure perfection. It is done. Boom. Okay, and our next one. Physical, emotional, mental, spirit, unconscious, subconscious, conscious, mass conscious, Christ conscious, cosmic conscious, goddess conscience. Okay, this one's about issues in your spirit body creating conflict in your goddess conscience. That's your 7th and highest level of consciousness. How many models of mutation in John's spirit body behind all of this? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. How many digits in the first one? 5, 4, 3, 2. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 9, 8, 7, 57. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9, 8, 7. Okay, I want to remove the models of 57 and the model of 7 out of John's spirit body and all issues created out of his goddess conscience and make it true. Removing all contractions, issues, collateral issues, debris of the downfall world, and all manifestations of all creations of the model of 57 and the model of 7. Pull all of this out of John's spirit body and all of its negative effects out of his goddess conscience and make it true. And then bring all aspects of John's spirit body and all relationships with his goddess conscience back into his holy order of O through Holy O pure perfection 3 times and make it true. How many platforms to be cleared? 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million, 100 million, billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, trillion, 10 trillion, 100 trillion, bazillion, 10 bazillion, 100 bazillion, quadrillion, 10 quadrillion, 100 quadrillion, quadrillion in 2, 6 quadrillion in 8 platforms, all to be deposited into the Holy O Moon portal for disposal, clearing, and cleansing. The Holy O pure perfection, the Holy O pure perfection, the Holy O pure perfection. It is done. All right, we're down to that last bar. Okay, where do we go with this? Okay, the last bar is about a very unique place in our morphic anatomy, and it's the 8th star system of our 52nd dimension. And this is the dimension of our eye, and our eye is the only dimension of 57 that has an 8th star system. The rest all have 7. And this 8th star system in our holy order of O is our divine life. But in the downfall world, it's become this thing called the Watcher. It is our saboteur that creates chaos and inflicts all kinds of problems onto us. And it's through these mutated models of life that have accumulated on this star system that is the problem. And how many mutated models of life exist on John's 8th star system of his 52nd dimension? And there's 6 of them. Okay? How many digits in the first one? 5432 98765 987 57. Okay. Want to remove the model of 57, 78, 6, 65, 1, and 2 off of John's 8-star system of his 52nd dimension and make it true. Removing all contractions issues, collateral issues, all debris of the downfall world of John's field of understanding, and remove his watcher and all manifestations and creations of the models of 57, 78, 6, 65, 1, and 2. Pull all of this off of John's 8-star system of his 52nd dimension and make it true. And then bring all aspects of John's 8-star system of his 52nd dimension into his holy order of O as his divine life through holy O pure perfection 3 times and make it true. How many platforms to be cleared? 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million, 100 million, billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, trillion, 10 trillion, 100 trillion, bazillion, 10 bazillion, 100 bazillion, quadrillion, 10 quadrillion, 100 quadrillion, quadrillion and 2, 6 quadrillion and 6 platforms. Deposit all of it into the Holy O Moon portal for disposal, clearing, and cleansing. The Holy O pure perfection. The Holy O pure perfection. The Holy O pure perfection. It is done. Very good. We're not done yet. See if you can relax his foot. There you go. Okay. Our last clearing is the linkage to your divine source. All of those 8 billion issues are gone. Okay. How many models of mutation are on John's linkage to his divine source? 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. How many digits in the first? 5, 4, 3, 2, 9876, 9876, 66, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9876. That's it. That's it. Okay. Remove the model of 66 and the model of 6 off of John's linkage to his divine source and make it true. Removing all contraptions, issues, collateral issues, all debris of the downfall world of John's school of understanding, and all manifestations of all creations of the models of 66 and the model of 6. Pull all of this off of John's linkage to his divine source and make it true. Then bring forth all aspects of John's linkage to his divine source into his holy order of O through Holy O pure perfection 3 times and make it true. How many platforms to be cleared? 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million, 100 million, billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, trillion, 10 trillion, 100 trillion, bazillion, 10 bazillion, 100 bazillion, quadrillion, 10 quadrillion, 100 quadrillion, quadrillion and 2, 6 quadrillion and 8 platforms. Deposit all of this into the Holy O Moon portal for disposal, clearing, and cleansing. The Holy O pure perfection. The Holy O pure perfection. The Holy O pure perfection. It is done. In order to heal all of the inventories revealed in our clearing, bring John into his very best and highest on all levels of his being, always fulfilling the will of his inner holiness. Bless John with abundant health, a knowing consciousness that understands all of life, with inner peace, joy, and happiness in his heart and in his mind, and with all the attributes required to live a charmed life in the new holy old earth. Which ascension key do we need to place into the void created from this clearing in order to heal all things cleared and to interface our blessing of higher consciousness to fill this void completely and perfectly and to manifest holy old pure perfection 3 times into John's life? Which key do we need? The 13th key, the feeling of bliss, the old paradigm, the clear purple crystal light, and the constellation of Pleiades now fill the void created from this clearing to heal all things cleared and to interface our blessing of higher consciousness now to be chosen.
So, John, Dr. Dan is going through his blessings, which are energetic templates, to find one that your inner holiness' selection should be given tonight. And the benefits of everyone.
Lisa, everyone for this time. And no inner dialogue.
Yeah.
This blessing of higher consciousness for John.
Yeah.
There it is.
Minor technical difficulty called we need to turn the light on.
I'll just do that. Yeah. This blessing of higher consciousness for John to fill the void created from this clearing, from a platform inscripted in the crystal lattice of your Holy Spirit from your ancient world recording. There are the Holy O Maestros of Ascension. This blessing of the Holy O Maestros of Ascension sprang forth through the plan of grand design, Omega or Alpha or Iota, your perfected Holy O path of divine life, into the neutral zone through a plan of grand design, through a divine decree of O, to bring forth perfected merger in the O-ness through perfected O paradigm, portal of creation, to merge into O-ness with the now of creation, to merge into O-ness through the great seal of all knowing, of O of creation. This great seal of all knowing to be applied to a triangle, which will metamorphose and become an universal Merkaba, and then merge into O-ness and bring forth the Holy O Maestros of Ascension with the Holy O path of divine life in the 9-cluster all that is of the Holy O, through the Holy O hologram fractals and microcosms of the Holy O, to purge, clear, heal, nurture, and support forevermore in the first corner of this triangle. Through divine destiny of your holographic seed and the Holy O Akashic beam and the Holy O unified field of the Holy O Ascension Stargate, now share the common O with the Holy O path of divine life. This secures your ascension into Holy O Earth and connects your divine purpose with your sacred path and your Holy O manifestations and creates your divine spark of life and transforms all models of life that mutate the Akashic beam back to their true home outside of the 9 clusters. This is done in loving kindness and appreciated by all involved through the Holy O gray ray and anchors in your pituitary gland. In the second corner of this triangle, your Holy O soul, the Holy O Akashic beam, and the Holy O unified field of the Holy O Ascension Stargate now share the common O with the Holy O path of divine life. This purges all pathogens from your flesh, genetic material, and your chi body. The Holy Order of O is established in your soul vessel, ego body, divine masculine, and the 15 components of your divinity. Your soul body ascends and becomes a star and joins the Galactic Federation. Your soul star brings your Christ consciousness online and brings the knowing of your inner holiness into every cell and subatomic particle of your flesh through the Holy O blue ray and anchors in your crystal pyramids. In the third corner of this triangle, your Holy O spirit, the Holy O Akashic beam, and the Holy O unified field of the Holy O Ascension Stargate now share the common O with the Holy O path of divine life. This releases all causes from your spirit body into the Holy O moon portal and graduates your crystal lattice into the 9 pulses of creation. This births your holographic seed into your crystal light body and creates you as a Holy O being of knowing who understands all of life. Your divine feminine now has all of its gifts and purposes in its psychic, intuitive, and intelligent body to navigate the sacred path of your divine life. Happiness and joy fills your divine mind and heart through the Holy O brown ray and anchors in your root chakra, with the Holy O maestros of ascension in the middle. This great seal of all knowing to merge into O-ness through the threefold flame of your heart, of your rainbow gold and emerald violet crystal light of creation, to merge into O-ness through Perfectionator Merkaba, Holy Oniverse, 22 coordinated groups of Oniverse of creation, to merge into O-ness through perfected bookends of your 15 paths of ascension, of Holy O underworlds through Holy O same of creation, to bring forth perfected manifestation of Holy O Maestro of Ascension with the Holy O path of divine life and the 9 cluster, all it is of the Holy O, through the Holy O hologram, fractals, and microcosms of the Holy O, with inner feelings of peace, true, and love, all to be brought forth into this reality of this earth through your life and more than 800 trillion plus expressions of your life in perfected holographic Holy O fractals and microcosms of the Holy O, anointed with clear octave sandstone crystal light, light of Divine Mother, light of Goddess, light of Melchizedek, clear octave ruby red crystal light, clear octave violet crystal light, clear octave emerald crystal light, clear turquoise crystal light, clear magenta crystal light, clear yellow-coise crystal light, clear red crystal light, clear blue sky crystal light, clear silver crystal light, clear crystal light, clear white crystal light, clear rainbow crystal light, clear golden crystal light, clear blue crystal light, clear purple crystal light, clear violet crystal light, clear emerald crystal light, clear green crystal light, clear pink crystal light, clear octave orange crystal light, and 101 rays of O-light with feelings of tranquility, composure, and perfection cherish intimacy and virtuous, worth, warmth, and dependable, agreeable, glad, and stable, bliss, enjoyment, and fulfillment, hopeful, expectancy, and compatibility, creative, peace, and compassion, the element of attitude, the illumination of old light, and the radiance of divine presence of Goddess to nurture, purify, and elevate this perfected fractal code of the Holy Oak into its very highest balance, harmony, joy, happiness, peace, love, compassion, structure, function, morphology, physiology, through the authority and the orchestration of the living Goddess that beats your heart. This perfected fractal code of the Holy Oak goes into the Hall of Records of your being, attracting all things like it as it establishes its dominion in its perfection in your life expression in this world. Oh, connecting, amen. Hallelujah. And it is done. Okay, John, take you about 2 days for that to all transform, but hopefully you feel better already. All right. You can come up now. Might be a little dizzy, so be careful. All right. Thank you. Many blessings. All right. Awesome.
So for those of you who may be wondering why I'm sitting up here yawning so much, Dan, can you comment on that?
You're shifting dimensions. That's what the yawning's about. And I'm burning up. I got hot. I guess we're going around the world. All right, awesome.
Why is it that we wonder when we shift dimensions? We're trying to take in more chronic life force, maybe?
Well, I think that when you shift dimensions, it releases that you're transforming that release by yawning.
Oh,
okay. You were just the lucky door prize winner. Her feet chose you. Yeah, I went around the room and you were it. And I started over here, and then I went to the back, and then I started over here, and no, that's okay. Yeah. I was taking her feet, and I was letting her in her holiness choose, and when I got to you, it meant yes. Everybody else, it was no. That's the only reason. Is that how it is each time? It is. Yeah, we always let the hostess feet choose who gets to be the demonstration. But everybody gets the blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we will often find that the new.
Well,
Well, we will often find, John, that it's a new person. We will often find that it's someone who may have gone to great effort to get here because there may be resistance thrown up by the fractured soul vessel to the healing that's going to be experienced and all that.
Well, let me say again. I didn't have the blinding light, but the experience of no hand and no inner dialogue, but just seeing.
awesome. All right, Lisa. Well, thanks for bringing that on. Yeah. But now it's pretty awesome. Yeah. Well, wonderful. Well, I guess we'll say goodnight to everybody on the phone. Thank y'all so much for being here with us and participating. And Diane?
Do the creation thing or no?
The creation thing?
We don't
we do that at group healings.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, let's hold hands. we'll just go through the creation process here. And this is the one that's inscripted inside of our soul vessel. Okay. All right. Yeah, all you got to do is just touch. Yeah, you just got to touch. You can touch her leg. It'd be probably easier on you. Yeah, just.
You look like you're bound.
Yeah, there you go. I'll let you just start taking it.
Yeah.
Okay. The creation of our trinity of wholeness. We all started before the neutral zone as a divine thought of a council of divine beings from the holy old temples of the neutron stars, and were created as a holographic seed. And our holographic seed migrates into the neutral zone and metamorphoses into 9 pulses of creation that are in perfect harmony and calibration with the 9 clusters of the all that is of the holy O, and destined to become the 9 knowing centers of our brain. And then at the dawn of creation, our 9 pulses create the crystal lattice of our Holy Spirit, which is also connected to the neutron star of its origin through its inner web. And then at conception in this life, our divine presence, our pulse, and our Holy Spirit of our crystal lattice combine to create our soul body and our holy old saying with a perfect soul vessel and an ego body at peacetime with 15 components of divinity inside our soul vessel that are the gifts of creation from the 15 galaxies of this cosmos. They are all spun into a Celtic loop and reconnected to the 15 galaxies of this cosmos that are interconnected to the 763 cosmos of this Omniverse, which is interconnected with the 62 million plus Omniverses of the 9 clusters. And these 9 clusters of creation of the holy old earth integrate into the 9 underworlds of this earth, 3 of Lemuria, 3 of Atlantis, 3 of Hyperborea, and it creates our 7 levels of consciousness, our unconscious, subconscious, conscious, mass conscience, Christ conscience, cosmic conscience, and goddess conscience, into our androgyne function with our 276 activities of higher consciousness performed on our inner web that allows us to travel back to the holy temples of the neutron stars, where we harvest our knowing as gold and our gold as knowing. And we are back home. On connecting, amen, and hallelujah. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. The creation story of our trinity of wholeness. I think.
For the moment.
Yeah, that's kind of gone. All right. So we'll say goodbye to everybody on the phone. Thank you so much for being with us, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We love you. Thank you. Wahoo.